Howdy, and welcome back to the Relationship School's Smart Couple podcast, where you can learn to become a smart couple someday by going to school, folks. Getting the education you never got. Okay, that's what the Relationship School is all about. And you can become that smart couple. You can have a safe, sexy, successful relationship over time, but only if you learn. And so hopefully this podcast will help you in that direction, okay? All right, this is a big episode just for the simple fact that my wife's on it and it's our 2-year anniversary. Not the marriage, but the podcast's 2-year anniversary. Our wedding anniversary is coming up in September. 10 years, guys. 10 freaking years. Married 10 years. Together about 14, give or take some breakups. Ouch, those hurt. I was still working a lot of shit out. So, anyway, 1 million downloads, guys. Thanks to you, we have reached over 1 million downloads here at the Smart Couple podcast. And my sincere, heartfelt thank you to you, the listener. It's a really big deal. So thank you so much for doing that. By the way, as a gift, as a thank you gift, if you follow me on Instagram and you watch my Instagram stories of my silly family moments, little relationship bombs here and there, I'm going to announce random winners or ask a question to you. And if you can answer it and you tag me on Instagram, I'll give you the details in the Instagram stories. Then you can win a chance to come to Boulder for our Embracing Conflict weekend here, September 29th through October 1st. Okay, this is a big deal, and it's going to be fun. There's loads of people coming from all over the world, and you can come too. If you want, and you're like, I can't afford that, well, then follow me on Instagram, and maybe you can. Okay? It's just my name, Jayson Gaddis. All right? Okay, another big announcement. This is another big deal. The Relationship School's new website is now live. Go to relationshipschool.net to check it out. And there you can download the Relationship Scorecard. And this is meant for you to just evaluate where you're at. And why did I create a scorecard? So that you can get honest about where you stack up versus where you want to be in your kind of longing and your dream relationship. And then that gives you the gap that you need to then go work on. Okay, and it's going to give you really fine, specific areas that you need to work on. And I think it's going to be useful for you. Okay, Ellen and I talk about that in this episode. And then there's another quick announcement that September 13th, I'm going to do a public talk here in Boulder and answer some questions. And I have a special guest joining me that I will announce in this episode. Okay. All right. In this episode, I've got my powerhouse wife, the mother of my kids, my best friend and confidant, Ellen Boeder. Ellen is my love and my force and my, better half, as they say. We really complement each other well. And we're rocking this life out together. And it's been a beautiful summer for us. Lots of good new challenges, lots of good openings. So she's coming on to hang out here in a minute. And in this episode, Ellen and I are going to get into what makes a great relationship. Okay, I really want to try to be as clear as I can about this. What constitutes a really good, sexy relationship over many years, not just for 6 months, guys, over many years. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Ellen and I talk about that. And then we're going to give you one tip to get that. Just one. We're going to focus on one thing, and that's the repair. In episode 100, we talked about the micro repair. This is more macro level repair that has to happen, okay, in any partnership, business relationship, whatever, parent-child relationship. The repair is essential. The repair is essential. So we're going to give you some pointers on how to do that well, okay? All right, let's dive in with my wife, Ellen. Here we go. Oh, and listen to the end for your action step as always. Welcome to the show, Ellen Boeder.
Thank you, Jayson.
Yeah, how's it going today?
It's going pretty well.
Great. Good to have you back on the podcast.
Yeah, it's good to be here. How are you?
I'm dealing with all kinds of stuff right now. Should we get into that?
Another
So,
time, maybe.
yeah. So, I'm psyched to talk to you about relationship as usual. We often
Hmm.
spend half our date nights, if not more, jamming about intimacy and relationship, and it's always really fun for me. So, we're going to do some more of that. You game for that?
Yes.
All right. Just a heads up, as you know, Ellen, we just surpassed 1 million downloads for the podcast. This is a big deal.
Yes.
2 year anniversary too.
Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks for all your
Yeah.
help with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big. We're doing
Hmm.
it here,
Hmm.
getting the goods out to the people.
Hmm.
Yeah, and we're about to start the relationship school, our second year, and that's exciting.
Hmm.
We'll talk a little bit about that maybe at the end, and I'm just psyched you're going to be involved, and you're also going to be helping with the high school curriculum that we're starting to develop. Is that right?
Yes. That's what I hear.
Yeah. And why are you psyched to do that? You really lit up when we talked about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it feels exciting to be reaching people when they're really beginning to embark on romantic relationships in their lives. So it just feels really exciting and powerful to get to reach young people who really just are hungry for the information, are wanting to learn, and don't have a bunch of stuff to unlearn yet. So
Yeah.
yeah, it feels, and I used to work with teenagers years ago, and I loved it. I love that population, and young adults too, college age, and um, mid 20s, all of that is really, I love that age. So I'd love to be
Yeah.
part of that.
Yeah. You and I
Yeah.
both. We both
Hmm.
worked with teens for a long time.
Hmm.
And teens now turns out, according to this Harvard study, are asking for help here in this
Yeah.
romantic relationship department. And so we're going to step into that with the school. And at first, I thought it would be helpful to define, like, how does one know if they're in a good relationship? Like, a lot of people, it's interesting. We see people in our practices, and we've worked with people over the years that they actually don't know what's possible.
Hmm.
They're
Yeah.
just swimming in the water they're swimming in, and that's all they know, and so they think it's like they can't do better.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to try to get your take on what does a good solid relationship look and feel like.
Hmm.
Any core elements or any just thing that
Sure.
comes to mind off the top of your head?
Yeah, two things come off the top of my head. One is that I've seen a lot of different kinds of relationships over the years that have really worked for people. So there's a lot of variation in there. And there's also some key, like, foundational elements that even if the relationship looks really different, the terms of it or who the people are, um, there's common similarities that really are solid that are there. And one of them, of course, is one that I love talking about, which is the two people who feel really safe and cared for by each other.
Yeah.
That they can really be themselves with each other, feel like they're the most themselves with their partner. Their partner knows everything about them. They don't keep anything from each other. There's a lot of there's full transparency, and they just both take really good care of each other. They really both really value the relationship.
Mm.
So those are the things I think of initially. How about you?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I was going to comment there that seems so essential. It seems like, you and I talk about this safety thing, this emotional
Yeah.
safety thing, which you wrote a blog post recently on the Gottman's
Yes.
blog that was great. And I I almost think, like, can you even have all the things you're talking about without a relaxed nervous system? Is that even possible, do you think?
I mean, I don't think so,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think to have all of those good feelings with each other and that good experience with someone, you have to feel in your body relaxed and safe. So that term safety is a lot about your nervous system being in a state of, like a fundamental state of balance where it can be open and receptive and creative, and there's no part of you that's on guard or defending or tracking threats. There's that kind of relaxation. That's the safety piece. So I think that's essential to being able to totally be yourself and being that open with someone else.
Yeah, I really like this notion of being ourselves, like really being who we are. Mm-hmm. And that can be tricky if we grew up in a family where we got love for being someone we're not.
Right.
It seems like so much of the work is about unlearning that and taking a risk inside the relationship to really be me. And that might because that upsets when I'm fully myself. That might upset you, and then you might shut down, and then I might lose relationship, right?
Sure. And I guess it's hard people maybe get confused about, well, I'm just being myself, maybe what being myself really means. Does being myself mean I get to say whatever I want to you,
right, be an asshole,
be an asshole to you, no, but being able to be truthful, transparent, unguarded, and like you said, do things that maybe we haven't always done. Like as kids, we become I think what I was hearing when I was listening to it was like, oh, there's these strategies we develop as kids for how to keep relationships sometimes. And so being in a mature, intimate relationship means going beyond those strategies, doing things that are right for us that maybe felt too risky or weren't okay as a kid, like asking for what we need or setting boundaries, things like that really support and preserve a relationship in a good way over time.
Yeah, I love that. And a lot of the other elements, I think really at the end of the day, it's like there might be a huge list of things that make a great relationship. At the end of the day, though, it seems like I just want to be me. I want to feel like my partner knows me and like they have my back and that we're doing this life together.
Yeah.
Just like,
yeah.
I'm just trying to simplify, like, what is this great relationship? And it sustains that over many years. It's not like, oh, we just had that for a year and now we're kind of drifting. It's every year we have this feeling of feeling seen and supported by our partner, but also pushed, challenged by them. And they have our back. They support us in being our fullest self, and we are able to support them.
Yeah. Yeah, that it goes both ways, that both people are getting that feeling, and if that's what both people are wanting to have. But I would agree that seems pretty across the board what people are looking for.
Yeah, and none of us want to feel alone or be alone, right? At the very end of our life, it seems like most of the studies show that most of us want to be surrounded by people we love, and often known by at least one person. But you mentioned maybe that's most people, but were you saying that there's some people want something different than this? Do you think that's true? Like people actually don't want this, they want something different?
I don't know. I mean, I think that if you're choosing long-term relationship, you probably have that longing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you know, I created this scorecard, the relationship school created a scorecard basically to help couples and individuals assess your relationship. And there's 25 questions. And basically it's a list of all the things that make up a great relationship. And so you guys can download that if you just go to relationshipschool.net, which is our new site, which is live. It's very exciting. So download that, listener, and check it out. And all in all, there's 25 things on there. But again, what we're going for is this feeling, this felt sense like I have a great partnership. And I know that because I feel safe. I get to be me, and vice versa,
Yeah.
And so one of the things on this scorecard, Ellen, was the repair. You and I spent a lot of time talking about repair. We spend some time repairing.
Yes. Refining our repair process.
It's come a long way.
Yes, it
Um,
has.
and I just want to zero in on the repair. And will you just kind of remind the listener why this is so essential? Just why to even talk about the repair?
Yeah.
Why does this matter?
Yeah. Um, well, as you know, Jayson, as well, that what we know about relationships is that there are going to be ruptures to the connection, and that's okay. We don't have to avoid those. Where we have to put our energy is in the repair. That's where all the good things in the relationship are really built. They're built
Yeah.
on how that repair goes, how well it goes, and what happens after. So that's where we build our trust. That's where we come back into relaxation and connection. It's everything. It means everything. So the more we can learn how to do that well, the better our relationships are going to be. I think that's something I work a lot on with couples, and I'm sure you do too with your students, is how to repair well, because I don't think that's taught very well in mainstream world at all.
Yeah. We did a podcast a while back on the sort of standard repair is I'm sorry.
Yeah,
And
right.
really that people are still relying on this.
Yes.
And folks, I'm sorry does not let down the nervous system. Once in a while, it might. Great. It worked in that moment. But I'd say the vast majority of the time in a long-term relationship, I'm sorry is not going to cut it.
Right.
So we got to do more.
Yeah.
So we're just going to talk a little bit about this for a minute.
Yeah.
And yeah, Dan Siegel, I just interviewed him, who we both really respect. He, again, reminded us that it's not about the rupture. Ruptures are going to happen consistently from parent to child to partner over time, like forever. It's the repair that's so essential in our brain's health and the functioning of our mind and our body and our heart, and lowering the stress levels really
right.
in our nervous system.
It's huge for that. Mm-hmm.
Quick interruption from our sponsor, the Relationship School. Check it out. Man, could I have used a class on intimacy or conflict or partnership back when I was feeling so alone and used to get wasted to drown out my sorrows and deal with my pain because I didn't know how to deal with my pain. So you might have been like me, and you might have broken up with someone, or they might have hurt you. Well, the Relationship School is here to help. We're going to get you the class you never got in school, but probably should have. Okay, so check it out. Here are what a few students have said about the course.
Relationship School has been abso-fucking-lutely amazing.
I signed up because I wanted some more skills to bring to my marriage.
I was wandering through life purposeless and passionless.
What I've gained in the last 9 months of my life and of my experience in the school is so huge.
And I feel fantastic.
It's been transformative, scary, edgy, affirming, loving, challenging, and just totally wonderful.
Impact for me with the school it's been absolutely life-changing.
Manage conflict better and skillfully be able to go into parenting situations with more confidence and ease.
Being able to be far more present with my kids, with myself, with my friends, with my family.
My heart is just cracked open.
I know it was just the best decision I ever made.
I'm such a different and more confident person in my interactions with other people and just in my being with myself in a deeper way than I've ever been.
When I look in the mirror now, I like who I see more. That feels tender to say, and I didn't expect that, and I'm so grateful.
And I'm really, really grateful.
I'm extremely, extremely grateful.
Well, there you go. Hearing from a lot of students in the deep psychology of intimate relationships who changed their lives because they invested in themselves. And you can too. Go to relationshipschool.net and to find out more. All right, back to Ellen. Yeah, so what we did a podcast, you and I, actually on the repair. We called it the micro repair.
Mm-hmm.
And just to remind the listener, this is, I'll plug in the show notes what episode number that is. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I think it's 100. I think it's episode 100.
Oh.
And we'll go back and listen to that one. And the micro repair is essentially like Ellen and I are in the kitchen and I say something with a tone of voice, or she gives me a look or something, and one of us gets triggered, and now we have a little rupture, a mini rupture. You can feel the disconnection. We're both sensitive. And so it's like immediately attend to that. Oops, it seems like I said something that upset you. And so that podcast was about attending to things in the moment. So go back and listen to that. And in this episode, we just wanted to highlight kind of what you can do a day or two later if things are still not cleaned up. And so can we go there for a minute, Ellen?
Sure. Yeah. Where do you want to start?
Well, I'd like to start with just what I typically do if there's been an upset and it's been a period of time is I gotta deal with my side of it. And that means I got to go take space and figure out what just happened or what I can take responsibility for. One of the first steps is what can I own? In the short term, I'm usually, what did you do wrong? But as I slow down and get back in my frontal cortex, I can think clearly enough to go, all right, I did something that upset her. I did something to contribute to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're
so
good
ownership,
at that.
Really.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, and you're also good at letting me know you're doing that. I like that you do that you say, like, I need to think about this. There's something going on for me. You let me know that you're coming back to me with some information soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we come back, I come back or you come back and it's like, all right, here's what I can take responsibility for about the upset. That's one way to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can just come in and own my thing.
Yeah. And that can help someone relax. Like, wow, okay, that resonates with what I felt or saw or experienced. So, okay, we're starting to get on the same page. It also helps if I can really understand what happened for you. Like, wow, it makes sense that you have that tone of voice with me because you've been dealing with all this stuff in your life, or, if I can just acknowledge kind of why you might have had that, or I did that thing that you've asked me not to do already before, and there I was doing it, or if I can understand that, that helps. And also helps so I can understand even deeper that if there is a deeper piece around, who you are, where you came from, what was hard for you and your family growing up, things like that. If I can know you well enough to speak to that, like, and acknowledge that I might have done something that felt familiar in a way that doesn't feel good to you.
Yeah.
That can sometimes help as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So what Ellen's saying here that I want to just remind you, the listener, of, we've talked about before, is listening. I want to come in with my listening ears and an open mind and being open to my partner's experience. So I'm going to listen until they feel understood. And I'm now calling that, in the relationship school, we're calling that LUFU, by the way. Listen until someone feels understood. LUFU. LUFU. Okay. So we want to understand what it's like to be them and what happened. Why they raised their voice, why they shut down, why they said what they said, why they didn't do what they said they were going to do, and just listen until they feel understood. And this can be tricky for me sometimes. You're a different human being and you have a different experience, and I might initially disagree. Well, that's not what happened, which is not going to help our repair. If I start arguing with Ellen's reality of what happened, we're going to get into a snag, and this is where a lot of people
Yes.
off the rails.
Right. Well, I didn't mean to. I didn't know you thought that. Like, it's basically defending at a time when you're working on the connection. It's like you can hash out those sort of realities later, but right now the priority is I want you to feel understood. I want you to feel like I have space for you. And so I'm going to listen and try to really get it. So that can be really helpful.
Yeah. And in the relationship school, this is one of our tools in the 4 pillars here that we talk about. We actually have a process people walk through. So obviously, if you want a deeper dive on this, you come to the school and study it. And we're giving you the kind of high level version here. And I really do want to understand in those moments what it's like to be you. And if I'm present enough and I actually understand, it will make sense in my given who you are and your past, like you said, it will make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we can add our validation step of, oh, that makes sense that you did what you did or didn't do what you did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to make sense of your reality as I understand you in it. And if I can really do it well, it will genuinely make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm also thinking about, you said something like, this is hard. It can be hard to do, hard to listen and validate and sort of be there for someone else without defending yourself.
Yeah.
And I think repair is hard. I think that's why people struggle with it, because we don't want to be that patient. We have things like, I might have something I want to get to in me. I don't want to listen to you, but yeah, I want to add one more thing. So as we're talking about how to speak to and listen to someone, it's so important to keep tracking them closely and be close enough that you can see them, see their eyes, see their face, really sense, are they, as I speak or as I listen, is this person calming down? Because that's what we're wanting. We're wanting both people to feel calmer and more safe so that you can actually really get to a place of understanding. So I guess I always, if you can be saying kind of all the right things, but if your partner's not paying attention or seems to be getting more tense or it's not changing, like just come back to, it seems like you need to hear something else, or it seems like you're still, holding on to something. What is it? So really go with what is right in front of you. Like how I like that people can develop a plan, like steps to go through, and also stay tuned to just what's right in front of you. Like what this person's showing you. Are they relaxing? Are they softening?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I like that. 'Cause that's definitely true in our relationship, where I can just do the technique, for example, to the letter and think I'm doing it just right. And I'm like, why are you not calming down? 'Cause that's not what you need. That's not what you're needing in that moment. Right. You need to come closer, maybe touch you physically, be like, hey, I'm right here. Got it. I upset you. It's almost like a shortcut to the hindbrain.
Yes.
Try to just help you relax.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's important to learn both. Like we need to be agile here.
Yeah, totally.
And I like to teach people, like in the school, we talk about, you got to know the steps basically to help someone relax. And it ain't always going to work. And sometimes you need to jam and riff and freestyle and go off the form to get the result, which is you guys are repaired and you're connected again and people are calm. Like that's really what we're going for.
Yeah.
And the sooner we do that, the better. So yeah, I know recently we had an interaction that I remember where I was doing like more the formulaic approach, which sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't. Well, it didn't work this day. And then you pushed back. You're like, I don't want the technique or whatever. And then I like almost shut down. I like almost collapsed. And I stood tall and I was like, took some breaths, and then I was like, all right. And I walked toward you and I grabbed your arms. Do you remember that in the kitchen?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was really close to you and it had a different result. And all of a sudden you calmed, like I could see it in your eyes and your shoulders started to relax.
Right. Yeah. I was in a state where I was like, I can't, the words are making me more upset, sort of.
Yeah.
Like I just could feel myself like this is making it worse. And I just needed you to, it's like, I just need you to give me a hug, and feel like you care. It came back to that again for me. Like, I just need to feel that in my body that like, you're here for me. We'll talk about it in a minute, but
yeah,
I needed that first, I think.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And this is where like just a couple other ideas for people listening. Stephen Porges on his podcast, mentioned having a sense of humor and almost making a crack or a joke in the moment to just do like a state change to try to get the body to relax a little bit. That was one thing he mentioned. Another thing is that David Cates, one of my mentors, taught me years ago, is like a belly to belly. You mentioned the hug, like just hugging and doing a belly to belly breathing and taking 5 or 10 breaths together. That can sometimes reset the nervous system to calm again.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of different ways to get yourselves okay again. But it has to be genuine. It has to actually work.
Yeah.
And you've got to repair in such a way that your partner says, like there's a letdown,
Yeah.
and there's an
Yeah.
appreciation or something.
Yeah. And people have to work towards that goal. Like both people have to be invested in repairing.
Yeah.
And I think being reasonable about what we need for the repair. Like it wouldn't be fair if I were to just kind of storm around and be like, well, you're not saying it right and you're not doing it right. And, you have to learn how and kind of storming off. Like that wouldn't be fair to you. So I also have to be willing to, be in that process with you and help you learn, help teach you about what I need, or really be seeing that you're trying and be receptive to that, even if it isn't exactly what I need in that moment. So it really takes both people being willing and invested in repairing things, because it matters to both of them. It's good for both of them.
Yeah. I mean, if you really want less drama and less loops and all night fights and things that drag on for days, if you really want that result, you must learn how to repair with your partner efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
And we're offering, a template here. And in the relationship school, we teach you a really, really specific one. And at the end of the day, the how is less important than the fact that you just get it done.
Yeah.
But I am saying that, we didn't learn how to repair as kids. I mean, I remember growing up, there was never like an apology from the grownups to me that I remember. There might've been. It was more like, when is the little boy going to come around and make the situation better? And a lot of us grew up in families where it was the little kid that somehow couldn't tolerate the distance and then somehow did something funny or lightened up the mood, and then we were back to normal again. But there was no actual repair, right? It's time repairs. It's like, no, that's been shown that time doesn't actually repair. It causes heart disease, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, great, Ellen. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and if you want a deeper dive here with Ellen and me, then definitely come to the Embracing Conflict weekend here in Boulder. It's going to be a good time. And the whole weekend is twofold: embrace conflict and learn how to repair. Or you could say, embrace conflict by learning how to repair. Either way, we'd love to see you here. There's a huge crew of people coming from all over the world, and it's going to be a really intense, heartfelt, good time.
Yeah.
So Ellen, just winding down, we started out talking about like what makes a great relationship, and I just want to tie that back together with this repair thing. Any last comments about, great relationships repair, or however you want to?
Yeah, I would want everyone to know that like dig into this one, dig into learning how to repair better, because I see so many couples get discouraged, like, well, we're just incompatible, or we just think about things differently, or like they just think it just feels like there's these bridges that can't be crossed in their arguments. And so often there's just more to learn about how to repair and what really helps each person. And it can be really simple gestures. It can be really, learning how to say things that help people feel understood. There's a lot to learn here. So definitely, before you throw in the towel, put some energy into learning this and trying this together, because it really has taken people into whole new places together.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, Ellen said it right there, that learning, folks, and look, if I can learn it, I'm a pretty dense dude. And if I can learn how to do this stuff, you can learn how to do this stuff. Okay. It's all very doable. We just have to learn how. And the repair, by the way, in our new relationship scorecard that you can get at relationshipschool.net, go right on the main page, and there's a button that says download your scorecard, or I want the scorecard, or something like that. Number 4 is we repair well after our connection is disrupted, or one or both of us gets hurt or upset. So repairing well is foundational here to a safe, sexy, successful, long-term relationship. And you can, again, score yourselves and see what you guys come up with. But I can guarantee you, if you repair well, you're going to move the needle a lot. And it's going to go a long way in your nervous systems and your safety and just how it feels in the home.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then finally, as we wrap up here, Ellen, what are you doing with me on September 13th?
Somehow I've agreed to give a talk with you or answer questions. We're doing something at Shine.
That's right. So at a local restaurant here in Boulder on September 13th at 7 p.m., you can come hang out with Ellen and I as we talk about codependency. Eek. We're going to reframe codependency for you. It's
Yikes.
If you're curious, intrigued, triggered already, great. Bring that and come with your questions and challenges, because here's another thing about a successful relationship. It's not going to happen without some level of dependency on each other. So we're going to get into that and answer your questions, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Ellen.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. See you soon.
Okay.
Yes. Ellen Boeder, folks. Very simple, straightforward stuff here. We're trying to not make this complicated for you and give it to you in a way that is digestible. And I think her and I, if we talk about our relationship, I think that serves. Right? So here's your action step. It's very simple, folks. Grab your partner. Imagine your future partner. If you don't have a partner, do a journal exercise and just say to them and to yourself, I commit to repair 100% of the time. I'm making that commitment right now. I'm putting my foot down and I'm saying yes to repair from here on out. I'm not going to let things slide. I'm not going to just let it go, brush it under the rug, ignore it, compartmentalize it, because what Jayson and Ellen are talking about is essential here, right? I know that the allostatic load adds up over time the more I disregard and ignore the repair. So I commit to repair with you, honey. And your partner can look back at you in the eye and say, I commit to repair with you 100% of the time as well. It may take me a day, might take me a week, might take me a couple hours, but I will come back 100% of the time. And when I don't, because I may not, I might get scared and try to run away, I will reach out to another person to kick my ass back into this relationship so that I can own up to my part and repair with you. Okay, you want some kind of repair like this, right? I'm trying to give you the language, give you lots of examples so you have something to jam off of with your partner. And again, if you're alone or single or not partnered or recently separated, same thing. Just say, my next relationship, I'm going to repair 100% of the time. That's just who I am. That's how I roll. This is the kind of life I want. It's the kind of relationship I want, so I'm going to do it. Damn it. All right. Make that commitment inside your own heart. See if you can really stand in that. If you can't, for whatever reason, it just means you have a block, and now you got to go deal with that. All right. Sometimes I have fear blocks, right, about going to the next level, for example, with the school. And I'm like, ooh, shit, I'm really scared. I can't necessarily go make my goal happen unless I deal with the block first. So I got to tackle my blocks and work with them and embrace them and wrestle with them and work through them. Okay, similar to you. All right, there was a lot of new stuff in the intro, and I'm just going to repeat a couple things. Ellen and I will be giving a public talk / dialogue / laughing session. Who knows what it's going to be? Maybe we'll cry. But we're going to reveal more about our relationship, and we're going to talk a lot about the myth of codependency and how many people run away because they don't want to be codependent, but then they miss out on the magic of depending on someone and how scary that can be. All right. So if you want to come to Shine restaurant here in Boulder, then got to get your tickets in advance. I guarantee this thing's going to sell out. So it's September 13th. All right. It's a Wednesday night. And yes, we will record it from afar and make it possibly available later, but really get in on the goods live. It's going to be fun. You can ask us questions, and it's going to be juicy. Okay? Show up there and go check out our new site and the store and all the fun stuff and the articles. And our podcast has now migrated to the new store, the new site. And it's going to maybe take some adjusting. If you listen to my podcast on JaysonGaddis.com, now it's on relationshipschool.net. And if it's on iTunes, it hasn't moved. It's still on your phone and it's on iTunes and podcasts, so shouldn't impact you at all. Okay, and if you're liking what you are getting here with this podcast, you can leave us a review. That's a small thank you. You can just say, hey, thanks, Jayson. Hey, thanks, Ellen. And that's all you have to say. Thank you. I'm getting served by this. All right, you don't need to come up with some creative, magical statement. Just say thank you. That goes a long way. All right. And it tells us that you are appreciating this and that we should keep doing it. All right. We'd like to hear from you. All righty then. And I'm curious, last question for any of you. Have you been altered, if you're in the States, by this crazy eclipse, this beautiful, magical time of the eclipse? Man, I am so fascinated and intrigued by the universe and how it all works. And I am in awe, frankly, about the magic and wonder and the power of this world. And please remember that if you're in pain today or if you're struggling, that there is magic going on outside of your own orbit, and see if you can make contact with that magic. And I think one of my favorite places to play in that magic is in human relationships. Okay, beautiful ones, we will see you next time. Take care.